Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to episode 39 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, executive editor of Total Retail. Today I'm joined by Aaron Kowaleski, director of search marketing at Lighting New York, a retailer of residential and commercial lighting fixtures. We're going to be discussing how Lighting New York's recent partnership with Google is helping the retailer generate more mobile traffic to its site. Thanks for joining me, Aaron.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So first, can you just tell us a little bit about Lighting New York, some details on the company, how long you've been in business, the types of products you sell? Obviously, that's probably pretty explanatory in the company name, but company's typical customers, just some background info for our audience.
Absolutely. Lighting New York, the e-com side is very young. LightingNewYork.com is only about 6 years old. We do have 2 showrooms in the Bowery, the lighting district of New York City. They've got about 30-year history on them. Obviously, we sell lighting fixtures. We do sell some home decor and furniture as well, but predominantly our expertise is in lighting. And our typical customer is usually either a homeowner, but we do commercial and residential, and we definitely do have a large pro program as well for designers and contractors. So we try and keep it a little bit of everything.
Was the reason for creating the e-commerce site just obviously the shift in consumer behavior to more and more shopping online?
Absolutely, yeah. That was definitely the driving factor. We started right in the middle of the recession, which is what everybody says you shouldn't do.
Right.
But we managed to make it work, and through some really genius people here, the team's amazing, and did some excellent things.
So let's talk a little bit about, I mentioned in the opening about your partnership with Google. Can you talk about, that partnership, and then how it's working specifically in regards to generating mobile traffic?
Absolutely. So when we were looking at growth year over year and where the most search traffic was growing for lighting, and lighting's a little archaic, it's a little behind the times. And I know we've been talking about the year of mobile for year after year after year. But last year, middle of last year, we noticed this massive increase in mobile traffic for lighting keywords. So we really started to focus on it. And who better to partner with than Google? And I've been fortunate enough to have an amazing team at Google who's done a fantastic job. And we partnered very closely and began sharing a lot of data and working very hard together to really push that channel forward for us.
And then I'm just curious about the growth of consumers using their phones. We mentioned that this is, not just specific to Lighting New York. This is industry-wide. But how is the growth in mobile shopping impacting Lighting New York's business, and specifically online as well?
Well, lighting is hard. Lighting is very complicated, and it's a long consideration purchase. It's almost on the par of buying a car. It's something you're going to hang up in your house, and it's going to last for. You might not look at that light fixture again, or have to worry about replacing it for another 30 years. God willing, everything goes right. So it's very hard to get somebody to purchase or spend thousands of dollars on a very tiny screen when they're looking at this very small object. And so the behavior and the growth of people using their phone, I should say, it was very difficult at first because it doesn't convert well for us. And that's been a very hard thing to deal with. But we do about 50% of our business over the phone. We have a large in-house sales team, and so many people forget that mobile searches are happening on a phone. It's still a phone. People can use that to call. So we added a lot of features to encourage people to call, and then we started really optimizing our mobile experience as well.
You mentioned people doing sort of the research end and not necessarily converting at the clip you probably would want, but obviously that can help. That can be improved upon. But do you also view it as, like you said, that research tool that you're then seeing that, okay, they might be looking at a lighting fixture on their phone to start the kind of shopping process, but, they're ultimately converting online, and are you able to kind of keep track of that customer as they move across channels?
Yeah, obviously attribution becomes incredibly important, and it's very difficult. I don't think anybody's really nailed down that attribution model perfectly, especially with regards to cross-device, but Google has done a great job. And so what we really looked at was the behavior, and like you said, the research phase. We started looking at different KPIs and really focusing on more research focused metrics, things like time on site, which was a huge one for us. I started monitoring how my wife searched sites because she's much closer to my demographic than I am, and monitoring how she traveled through mobile sites, and did a little bit of research on her, which is she didn't appreciate too much, but it worked out. And I eventually had to confess what I was doing. But and then watching that, after a certain amount of time on site, she would save the URL, or she would email it to herself, or she would somehow store it on her phone to go back and check it out on her laptop or her desktop. And that was huge. That was a huge revelation to me, that, like, obviously if I can get them a certain time on site metric and continually hit that on our mobile customers, we will see an uplift. And it worked out that way. We actually saw a 50% increase in our actual branded search queries. So people actually searching for our terms once we kind of crossed this specific threshold for time on site with mobile.
It's really interesting.
Huge.
Yeah. So are you seeing behaviors from customers that are coming first from mobile? Is it vastly different from what you're seeing on desktop, or is there kind of a symmetry between the two? And then if the differences exist, how are you then capitalizing on giving the best experience to that mobile shopper versus somebody that might have started their shopping process on desktop?
Sure. Yeah. We really, again, looking at those different KPIs and digging in a little bit further, we actually made a lot of optimizations to our mobile site, including things like tap to call, much easier form fills on the checkout. And we actually managed to drive our conversion, because it was almost a non-converting channel. It was almost purely research, as we considered it. And after a little bit of work, we actually got it up to about 15% of all our overall conversions are happening on mobile devices, which I think is pretty good, considering how high consideration of purchase it is. And then we really can just continue to optimize that experience for the mobile device. But then we also added cross-device cards. So if you're logged into Lighting New York and you are browsing on your phone, you're logged in, and you leave and come back on your desktop and log in, your cart's there. It exists. So adding all those kind of features to really make that as seamless as possible for the people who are coming on, because we would see these massive carts generated, but then there's no checkout. There's a huge amount of cart abandoners, and trying to establish that cross-device was huge.
With that 15% conversion now coming via mobile, does that include, you mentioned tap to call, which probably is huge for Lighting New York's business, with such a big presence or such a big percentage of your business coming over the phone. Does that include people that are using that to call and complete their order, or is that strictly people that are transacting via the mobile phone itself?
That's actually only people transacting via the mobile phone themselves. Yeah, we don't cross that.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting that, if you had an idea of how many people were then also using that tool, that tap to call function to directly call from when they're doing their research as well. Absolutely,
yeah, and that's and we do have that. I don't have it on hand. I don't have an exact number, but yeah, I mean, we've truly. Our biggest focus with this partnership with Google especially was trying to make sure that we were fully valuing our mobile traffic, because it's easy to say that, well, things are happening, but we not knowing what. Trying to assign some real value there and trying to really nail down that attribution and just overall optimizations. That was the real kind of core of it.
Yeah. And then just my final question, Aaron, is can you talk a little bit about the business benefits that Lighting New York has seen since it went into this partnership with Google, and specifically sort of that cross-device conversions that you were talking about?
Sure, absolutely. And that's kind of on the nose. We really did look at wanting to fully value that mobile traffic, and how do we do that? How do we go about that? And getting some answers to those questions and trying to trace back what was happening. And so the huge benefit was, like I said earlier, we actually managed to optimize and drive that mobile traffic to the point where we actually got up to, I would say, it's not exactly 50%, but we actually saw on our desktop and mobile searches, our branded terms doubled. It took a lot of work to get there and a lot of different KPIs that we were monitoring, but having that hit right about I don't know, like a month into Q4. No, October. It was late October. That about 50% increase just over like a course of a week, our brand searches doubled, which is massive, right, in Q4. And it led to a huge win for us in Q4 last year, and we've just continued to optimize since then. We actually exceeded all our goals during Q4, and obviously from a business standpoint, everybody was ecstatic. But yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, well, some really interesting stuff there on how Lighting New York is really taking advantage of mobile and how consumers are now shopping more via that channel and taking advantage of getting that traffic to their site. So I want to thank Aaron Kovaleski of Lighting New York for his time. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes and Stitcher, but make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Lastly, please follow us on Twitter at MyTotalRetail or on Facebook at facebook.com/MyTotalRetail. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.